welcome to another segment of Conversate and Elevate. It's the 26 Impact series that is a part of Seek Elevation. If you have been listening or watching Seek Elevation, then you know that we have had amazing individuals with diverse stories that can help elevate you either in the walks that they're doing in life, that yours is kind of mirroring, or just in life in general. And these 26 individuals that I'm bringing to you this year, I'm very excited about it. And I handpicked them for specific reasons. One, they're just really empowering energy just to be around. But two, I don't know. I just have great relationships with all of them, and anyone that I put my name on, I mean, I completely vouch for. I think you'll be in a good treat, good in for a good treat to hear from as well. All right. So today we have Miss Sid Powell. How are you doing today?
I am doing wonderful. I'm blessed. I'm alive. I'm here. I'm happy.
Listen, ditto, ditto, and ditto. I
Yes.
believe that's the first thing that we need to just start with, especially more now than ever, is just to talk about what we're grateful for.
An
Right. And
attitude of gratitude.
attitude of gratitude, just to, continue to push that out, to have that energy around us because it is hard. We're not gonna lie about that. It's been hard, but we're stronger than how hard it's been.
Absolutely.
So let's introduce the listeners and viewers, because this Empowercast is what I call it, is on all major streaming networks for podcasts, but it is also on YouTube, which we just tripled numbers uh, within the last month or so as far as
Wow.
viewership. Yes, it's so I really am excited about this platform. When I first, started it, it was okay. I'm just gonna dip in and throw some nuggets out and dip out because in the field that I work in, servicing individuals, I just been having some deep conversations. And I'm like, wow, these are conversations that shouldn't just be behind closed doors. A lot of people would benefit. But I didn't imagine that just coming in doing that would have such impact. So, but yeah, let's introduce the listeners and viewers to, who you are. When we say who is Sid Powell, who's that?
Sid Powell. Wow. I put a post up on Facebook last night and it was just a picture of me. And I just said, this woman has been through a lot. Please be kind to this woman if you come in contact with her. So Sid Powell is a dynamic woman. I must say that about myself. I have come to learn that and actually feel that sentiment about me. First and foremost, I am a mother. I am a daughter, a sister, a friend to many, an aunt. But I'm a writer. That is who I absolutely am. At the core of who I am is a writer and a storyteller. And it's what I was put here to do. It's what I will do until my last days. And it's just such a blessing to know and walk and live in your purpose.
When did you discover that? Because you said, so let's back all the way up. Let's go back to the beginning of Sid Powell. Where did you start finding your calling to write, to tell stories? What did it look like? Because it may have transformed differently throughout the years to where it is now.
Right.
Going back, like, where did you start getting that inclination?
So I've always, as an adult, I've had several times that I've moved homes or transitioned in and out of places. And, you pack up, you purge, you get rid of things. And I used to come across diaries and poetry and letters. And I think I've always been a writer at heart. I think I've always been that person, but it didn't actually connect to me as an adult person until back in maybe 1999 when I partnered with my best friend and we co-wrote fiction novels, erotic fiction novels. That's when I really realized, okay, I knew then that I could write. I still didn't know I was a writer. But we went on from the novels. We kind of went our separate ways, but I did continue writing, and I moved on to stage plays. And I found out very quickly that it was a very expensive medium to tell stories. And so I just wasn't satisfied, and I didn't feel like I had found my niche. So I decided to try my hand at screenplay writing. And that's when I knew this is who I am. When I wrote Somebody's Child that stars Lynn Whitfield, Michael Jai White, Clifton Powell, Nadine Ellis, Byron Mins from Black Dynamite, I knew then this is my jam. I'm a writer.
So we're going to back up with that dash in between, because some people listening or watching are probably like, wow, how did that happen? Because what happens in life sometimes, we try to compare ourselves, right, to people's end story.
Right.
And sometimes we'll sit here and we'll say, it's not happening fast enough. It's not going to happen at all. This person's just lucky. So when they hear it in this format, how you say, they may think, well, things just dropped in her lap. She just wrote a fictional novel, didn't figure, we separate, I'm gonna continue, and these things dropped in my lap. It didn't happen that way. So let's go back a little bit. Let's start where you was talking about, like, journaling, just in life, period. What did journaling do for you in experiencing walking life?
So as a young adult woman and adolescent, journaling and writing poetry and writing letters for me was therapy. I battled depression and anxiety, and I always have. Since the time I was roughly 7 when my parents split, it showed up and it never went away. In fact, it got worse and became debilitating, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But so I was always trying to put my pain on paper. And when I started writing the fiction novels, it was just so nice to create a getaway in my own mind, in my own spirit, of a new world that didn't involve anything that had to do with me, just creating new characters and new locations and storylines and A stories and B stories and love stories. And, it was just an amazing feeling to be able to create content. And so that experience was amazing. Being a fiction author, we had some very major success with one of our biggest novels. It was called The Key Party. We went on, tours in the lower Southeast regions. We went on book tours, and we were at the Harlem Book Festival. The landscape of novels and reading was much different back in '99. People were picking up books and buying books and reading books.
Right.
It was much different, so there were Harlem Book Festivals and festivals here in Atlanta, and Madu Bookstore was popping at Greenbrier, and, it was a different time. But we had a bad experience with the publisher, and we just decided to move on from writing novels. And that there was a lot of work involved in being a novelist. You had to be selling your books out of the trunk and out of the car and out of your purse. It was literally like we were the Master P of, fiction novels as young women. And it was difficult self-publishing before we got published, because we were both married women with young children, with full-time jobs, trying to chase a dream that we didn't even know we had. So once you get a taste or get that bug and get that bite and realize, wow, I have a gift, you're charged with the task of following through, is what I feel, or that's how it was for me anyway. So it was very stressful being a creative, because, like I said, I was also married, I had young children, and I worked a full-time job. So I didn't have the liberty of just, hey, I'm an author. I couldn't proclaim that title just yet. But then I would go on, like I said, to do the stage play. I did a stage play called Pass It Down. And during this time, still, working, I think I was definitely divorced by then, but still had younger children, still working full-time jobs, still trying to fund this new dream of mine, this writing career that felt like, it was knocking on my door constantly, that wouldn't let me kind of shake it. And being a creative, you know, as other creatives can attest to, a lot of the funding usually comes from you until you can find investors and people who believe in and see you and know that you're going to do something amazing and want to be a part of the ride. But until then, the funding is coming out of your pocket. So, you know, put on the stage play. It was held at the Strand Theater on Marietta Square, which was an amazing feat at the time because it was so expensive to host that venue. But God has always put people in place at the right time for me. It's like he goes ahead of me and tells my story, and I just have to walk in obedience, and he'll make it so, if that makes sense.
It does. It does. And one,
So it's like he paves the way. I just have to have faith and walk in that faith and not give up. That's the hard part. Not giving up is the hard part because there are days and nights, you know, when I was writing the novels or when I was doing the stage plays where I just could not bear to ask another person for help or another dollar or another bit of money to help me put on these productions that I just, bottom line, couldn't afford to do. But I knew I had to get the vision and the creativity and the story to the masses somehow. And that's the theme of my production company, is educating and entertaining the masses, you know. So after that stage play, I decided that I wanted to try something else in terms of the creative medium. And I did some research and decided to teach myself how to write screenplays. And I say that to say, you know, a lot of people let circumstances, you know, hinder them. They stop short because they may not know everything. But it's okay not to know everything. Just do something. You know, don't be still, don't be stagnant, do something. So I did something. I downloaded scripts, movie scripts for movies that I like to watch. And I would watch the movie while I read the script to learn how to write a screenplay.
wow.
And that's how I taught myself. And then I found a screenplay contest in association with the ABFF, American Black Film Festival, one of the most reputable and oldest film festivals for African Americans. And I decided to enter the contest. And I can share that story with you briefly if you like, how that went.
Yes,
Because
absolutely.
it didn't go, was not a straight line. So first of all, once I found the contest, God told me in a voice that I can only liken to something inside of you that you physically feel and hear and know. It was a knowing. He told me if I wrote a script and entered this contest, that I was going to win. Right? So, and I'm not the biggest, you know, Christian out there, or, you know, Baptist or Buddhist or any of that, but I do know my God and I know his voice. So I was obedient. I went and I bought my dress for the award ceremony before I even thought of what I was going to write. I bought the dress and I hung it up in my bedroom so that I would see it every night before I went to bed. Then I prayed, and I prayed about what to write about. After I prayed, the storyline came to me very easily, and I started to write. After I wrote it, I submitted it to the contest, and I waited. I waited to see how it was going to unfold because I knew I was going to win. So a month or so went by, and I was at church. At the time, I was attending church pretty regularly, Zion Hill Baptist Church off of Campbellton Road. And I was in church and I was losing faith because, you know, I hadn't heard anything. And I was like, but God, you told me, you know, you told me this. I feel like such a fool. I told other people that I believed it and that I believed you and that you told me to do this. Like, I just felt foolish. So I was in church and I just was praying, like having the last leg of faith that I had, and came home and my cell phone rang and I knew it was them calling. And I said, is this the Gospel Music Channel and the American Black Film Festival calling me? And she said, yes, it is. And I ran outside. I started to cry immediately. I didn't even let her tell me what she was going to say yet. I just was like, I won, I won, I won. And she's like, no, you didn't win. She's like, but you are a finalist. I was like, yes, that much closer. So I was one of 4 finalists. They flew us. So now other people are starting to believe in what I've been telling them. So now my daughter's like, well, who are you taking to Miami with you? And everybody wants to go on the ride, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I took my daughter. Lots of family and friends came as well, but I took my daughter with me. They put us up at the Ritz-Carlton in Miami, and it was an amazing experience. So we went to the award ceremony, which was hosted at the time, I think, by Eric Benet and Regina King. So because it was also an award for Keenan Ivory Wayans, a Lifetime Achievement Award. So when it was time to announce the winner of the contest that I had submitted for, I told my daughter, we were sitting down front, and I said, take your shoes off, because when they say it, we're going to run up there, we're going to get the $5,000 check, and we're going to get the award, and we're going to come and sit back down, and that's it. So we took our shoes off, and we're waiting. So they announced the winner, and it's Not Somebody's Child, which was the name of my film. And I started clapping because it was one of my colleagues, one of the finalists who I have, bonded with and met over the time while we were in Miami together as finalists. So I was very happy and proud of him, but I was very confused because I was like, God, you said I was going to win. I didn't get anything. I was pissed. I was mad at I wanted to burn the whole auditorium down. I was very upset. So my daughter started crying. I'm consoling her. And I went back to my room at the Ritz, packed my stuff, and was just ready to leave the next day. I just wanted to go. Everybody else went out to party, and they gave us gift cards with all this money on. And I just went to my room and just pouted. So the next morning, I was getting ready to go catch my flight, and I get a call from the television network, and they say, hey, Brad Siegel wants to meet with you. Do you have time to come down to the hotel lobby and meet before you leave for your flight? And I said, yeah, I have time. What does he want? They said, well, just come downstairs. So I went down, and basically what he told me was this. He said, Sid, you did not win the contest, but of the 4 finalists, you were the runner-up. I said, oh, okay, that's nice to know. Thanks a lot, and I'm still have this attitude of non-gratitude, disgusted. He said, well, this is the first of the screenplay competitions that we've ever done. So we don't have a formula, so to speak. So what we're going to do is we would like to buy your script and make your movie as well. And I said, what? And he was like, yeah, you're the runner-up. We're going to make the movie of the winner, and we want to make your movie as well if you'll sell your script to us. So I called my attorney, and I was like, this is how much they're going to buy it for, and should I do it? And everybody was like, go, 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 do it, do it, do it. So I signed on the dotted line, sold my first script, and the rest was history. Somebody's Child won an NAACP Image Award nomination. Michael Jai White was nominated for Best Actor in the category with Cuba Gooding Jr. and amazing actors. I was on the red carpet with Shonda Rhimes and Quentin Tarantino and LL Cool J with Michael Jai White. We walked the red carpet together, and I was in heaven. My life had transformed. All from 1999 when I started writing books to 2012, because I never stopped trying, and I never gave up, and I never stayed stuck. I always pivoted. And so when I pivoted and taught myself how to write screenplays, it opened up new doors, and this was the biggest door ever. So I wrote Somebody's Child. They made the movie. It premiered in 2012 on television, and it was amazing, And after that, I went on to write 3 additional TV movies for the network. And now all 4 of them pretty much live on Up TV and Aspire. And that was the start of my film and television movie career.
And what I heard out of that, I don't know what others may hear or while they're watching, but one of the recurring messages, gems, is that you stay persistent though. So yes, our God, and like you said, this is not tying it to any systemic tag, but
No.
our God, our energy, our universal power, our Heavenly Father, yes, intercedes, but we act.
Absolutely.
We must act. And what I kept hearing you say, no matter what was orchestrated for you, the orchestration happened with your consistency and your push and what you had to continue to endure and do. And like you said, you did it during one of those times where it was the toughest time, right? So the resources, the avenues, the tools, the things that we have now look different in 99.
Absolutely.
Like you said, you had that guerrilla marketing, that pushing, that getting out there during a time where you had so many other responsibilities. So you staying in that vibe, you staying in our energy, those things aligning when they need to align. And another thing I got from that too is when we feel something, because this is one of the most, it can be draining and exhilarating, is that when we feel the knowing, not just thinking, but there's a knowing, and then things don't line up like I know it's supposed to be this, like what's going on? The one thing that you just, and I could testimony myself and attest to what you just said is, it may not be the way, there's the knowing that we deliver, but not the way that we thought exactly how it's supposed to look.
The package is different sometimes.
The package is different because it technically you won. There was a winning. There was a winning in there. But what we would think is, take your shoes off. We're winning. We're going to the stage. But you're going to, there's a piece, there's an element you're going to win in this part of the journey. And there's going to be little wins, little wins, little wins. And you did have a win in that one. And so those are the two things I really pulled out. With you experiencing both the guerrilla style, hitting the pavement, to right now, what can you give in comparing and contrasting the two? Do you feel like it's still, even though we have more resources, you got to hit the pavement a different way? Do you feel people are not capitalizing as much as they should or could based on what you experienced there? Like, what is your feedback on the difference between the resources now and then?
Social media, it's amazing. It's amazing what you can do on your own for free to, garner support. There's no excuses. There's no excuses. And the only thing that I didn't do, because back then, there was some, 2012 was when Somebody's Child came out. We had Facebook and all of that, right?
Yeah, 2012. Yes, we did. We had Facebook, but not, I just know Facebook. We didn't have Instagram. And,
no.
Yeah.
So there was Facebook. So I put it out there on Facebook for people to watch the premiere because I wanted to break records for the network, and I did. But I still had flyers printed up, and I was driving down the street in Southwest Atlanta, putting them in mailboxes. That's the only thing that may be a little different now that I don't do. And the only reason we didn't do that for my stage play that's going on right now, Mental, is just that time got away from us. But we were going to hit, train stations and pass out flyers. Like, it don't stop.
So one doesn't cancel another. It's just another avenue. So
absolutely,
using all avenues to catch, you don't lose anyone. So don't just think because social media is there, you don't have to put out the work in another way. It's social media is there, which is an absolutely, like you said, phenomenal additional,
right,
supplemental resource for us. So you said you still will go out there and do all the other things, but then you will add social media
I would add it on. It's an adjunct. Yeah, it's not the primary thing all the time. It's putting it all together, getting your feet on the ground, soles on the ground, and in addition, reaching out in as many ways. It's like you're this octopus, and you're at the nucleus and you have all these arms just kind of in everything, everywhere, reaching, 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 repeating, 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 informing, informing, telling, telling, telling to spread the word.
No, I
And
love
it's
that.
exhausting.
It
And
is.
do not be mistaken. What I do is exhausting. It taps you out to no end. There are days and nights where you just want to say, I'm just going to get a job at LA Fitness and
Right.
write when I feel like writing. I'm not doing this anymore.
Right.
And I've
No,
had those times.
I agree with you. And I definitely, that's why I think some people really need to hear that, because it's not, what is the word I want to use? I hate to say not easy.
It's not glamorous.
Yeah, it's not glamorous. It's not
No,
all the glitz and glam part, but when it's something that is a part of your fiber, every essence, it's like it's compelling and it pulls you even when you want to pull away, like you just said.
absolutely.
And
I
it's
don't have a choice in this.
exactly. That's when you
What am
know.
I gonna do? If I'm not writing and I'm a writer and I was born to write, what in the hell am I going to do besides that?
Exactly.
There's nothing. I have other gifts. Don't get me wrong. I was a track star.
Right.
I can sketch a little bit. I can sing a little bit. I've got other gifts and talents, but they're not going to fulfill me the way writing is.
No.
There was a time when I thought I would be the next Monica or Brandy, and I tried my hand at singing and getting a deal, and I tried my hand at being a track star and going to the Olympics, and that didn't happen. But I was I was a very good runner,
Right.
very good swimmer, very good singer almost. I have a nice little voice, but that's not what I'm here for.
I so agree with that.
So now that I know what I'm here for, I can't pretend. You can't unring the bell. I know I'm a writer. I know that's what God wants me to do. I've got to do it. And that's hard. Some people say, oh, well, at least you know what your purpose is. Yeah, I know what it is, but he didn't necessarily give me all the money that I need to make things happen when I need them to happen. So that's my question to him sometimes is, why did you give me this gift, but not the money to fulfill the dream, the gift? But the only answer I ever come up with is that in due time.
And I had that question before too, with a lot of things that I've done. And my answer that came to me was, there's certain things that weren't given to me because there's pieces of me to find in that journey to go get it. And so if certain things were given to me, I would be stagnant. I would miss the journey of the pieces that are elevating me. I become new.
It's an elevation.
It's an elevation. I meet different people, right? So if I just had something, I may not have met that person. It may have not looked this way, or I may not have. It's just like you said, like being an athlete. When we go to the weight room, we know we go in there, we're lifting heavy weights, right? It's like, oh, we got to find the core of us to do certain things. Or if we're doing repetitive workouts, it's like all of that, all to line up to do a real quick race. But where we find ourselves at is in that process of how we're honing ourselves to get out there, where we end up celebrating at, or sometimes, not celebrating, is the actual competition. And that's how I see life. It's like we're finding and becoming stronger in the strength and what we need to do to perform when it's time to perform, or to be able to handle whatever else we need to be able to handle in a
at
performance.
the time.
Exactly. So,
and as you know, Ella, when we run as runners, there's times when we lift heavy.
Yep.
There's times when we lift a lot of reps, low weight.
Yep.
Because you're trying to fine tune certain muscles for certain things to get your start quicker.
Absolutely.
Or to be more efficient in the long run, in the 400 coming out of that curve, going down that last line, that
last straightaway, that last thing that you got.
And it's just like track taught me so much, because when that gun goes off, It's about putting it all together.
That's
What
it.
have you been doing to prepare?
That's it.
And
That's
so
it.
you have no excuse, and you can only blame yourself if you're not ready and you're not preparing when it's time and when certain things are presented to you, because you don't know what's going to happen or what's around the corner. You must be prepared.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And to go back to what you were saying, when you tap in and you know, like, this is what I'm created to do. Yeah, you could walk away, do tons of things. You can do things and not be fulfilled. You could be empty and do this, or do this and heavy is the crown. Because like you said, it's that heavy's the crown, but there's a fulfillment. You know what I mean? So I definitely see you, especially being in a position of service. Because sometimes I would question myself, why am I giving all my stuff here and doing this and doing that? I could just, because I feel more alive. I feel more me. I feel, again, evolving, standing in what I need to do, no matter how heavy that crown may be. So what was somebody's child about? Because I want to go back and look at this. Like, where do you get the inspiration of what you write about? Because I want to know what somebody's child uh, was about. And where do you get your inspiration? Is it any type of genre you looked at growing up? Is it, what is it?
Okay, so Somebody's Child is a television movie about Lynn Whitfield, who's the mother of um of of Michael Jai White. She's Michael Jai White's mother in the movie.
I have to see, because I seen Lynn, because I thought you was gonna say something else. Because I remember her playing a role with somebody's mother, and just was Lynn Whitfield. No, she wasn't Lynn Whitfield, but she was the actress. I forgot what it was. It was like her, what is her bias? Her bias are pushing a certain belief or thought. Like uppity. I forgot what it was that I watched, but I don't know if it was
Okay.
that though. Not with Michael Jai White. Okay, go ahead.
No, she played his mother, and she needed a transplant, a kidney transplant.
Oh,
And do you want me to tell what happens?
this give us a little synopsis. I'm gonna go watch it regardless. I'm about to go find this, but
If
yeah.
if I say too much, it'll give away
Okay,
the
don't then.
Yeah.
We'll
So
do our due
Somebody's
diligence.
Child, Lynn Whitfield plays Michael Jai White's mother. He's the
Okay.
owner of a restaurant. She needs a kidney transplant. And basically it's about a son losing hope and a mother trying to instill faith in him before she passes, because she feels like she's going to not maybe get the transplant, but she's trying to teach him to have faith and hold on at all costs.
Oh wow. So then
Yeah.
that makes me hone in on that question I just asked you. Where do you get the inspiration?
Right. So I generally write drama, right? I like to write pieces that incorporate family,
Okay.
because I didn't have a large family growing up. I was very much spent a lot of time alone, especially after my parents split up. My mother had to work a lot and I was alone a lot. So I like to kind of write about things and how it would have been if I had had a family, a large family, or a family around, or how it would have been if my grandmother hadn't passed away when I was 8 or 9, and if I had grown up with a grandmother, you know. So I tend to write about pieces of me that are missing. It makes me
Ah,
feel whole.
so pieces of you that are missing that also resonate, because what we're missing, that's stories that resonate to so many people out
Right,
there, and you're
right,
probably even helping them. And that's what storytelling is, right? So it's not just entertainment. To me, like I said, sports and entertainment is a way, it's an easier pill to swallow. It's not the chalk pill, it's the pill with the nice soft coating,
right.
for us to be able to take it down easier and to heal and to learn
Absolutely.
from. And so with you and your experiences, your stories, and how you able to put them down on paper and deliver them, you never know when people are watching them, maybe in that moment where you're answering their prayer, you're guiding them, you're mentoring them, you're doing
Without knowing.
without knowing. That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, so I write a lot about drama, but here lately I've been kind of stretching myself again back to preparation and being ready.
Okay.
Um, I got a call the other day from BET, an email, They were looking for someone to write a thriller. And I've never had a thriller produced, but I have written one. It's called Dream Kill. And so I was able to send them that because I had it on deck. I was ready,
Right.
so staying ready, stretching yourself, trying new things, which, Dream Kill being kind of a supernatural sci-fi sort of piece is way outside of the scope of the drama that I normally do. But it was really just kind of taking drama and making it the nucleus and then just adding little elements of sci-fi or fantasy, or paranormal or whatever the case may be. I also have a comedy that I just recently wrote, so I'm always writing, and I'm always trying new things, so that I can be ready in case somebody needs a comedy and they say, well, Sid, I see your IMDb credits, you've written a lot of drama, but do you have a comedy? And I can say yes. Do you have a sci-fi piece? Yes. I'm like a drug dealer. Like I got your pusher.
That's right. I'm your pusher.
What do
You
you
ain't going.
need?
That's right. You have to go to nowhere else. And that is a conversation I literally have with my clients. What does your catalog look like? I understand what you
Absolutely.
like. Use this time. There's a lot of different times that we went through, pandemic being one. Use a lot of time to fill your catalog up. So when the call happens, you're ready. No matter
Be
what it is,
ready.
be ready. Always be, you don't have, listen, that's where I say success is your success. Whatever
Yeah.
your goal is to be successful in it, to reach markers is to preparedness, to be
Yes.
prepared. With
Because there's a
opportunities
lot
there.
of downtime in the job that the career that I've chosen as a writer. There's a lot of downtime. There's a lot of time when nothing's happening and no one is calling. But there's never downtime because you should be creating always, getting ready so you can just be ready. Because it's gonna come back around. It's very cyclical, so you just have to always be doing and writing and creating and collaborating and preparing, because when it comes around, if you're not ready, the next person will be, who was at home writing while you were, at the whatever, wherever, somewhere in the streets.
Right. Or probably just, I'm happy you said that, because some people will just say, there's nothing open. No one's calling for me. I'm not going to do anything. That is the time to do something, because I love how you just put it. There may be downtime where people are calling or reaching out, but there's never downtime, because you are a creator. You should always be creating. You should always have something to create and be ready for. I love that you said that.
And that's why I'm gonna win. And that's why I'm gonna win big. It's because I'm prepared.
Right. Right. No.
Being a D1 athlete taught me about hard work, and kind of, I realize now that track and field was not my end all be all, but at the same time, I learned what the result of hard work versus not hard work will get you.
Absolutely.
And I can
Absolutely.
apply that to my current journey, so it all, like you said, it all lines up. It's all the pieces. I wrote a poem not too long ago called The Woman Who Dared. And it's about how my future self is orchestrating the journey from me, with me, to catch up to her.
Ah.
So she's ahead of me, pulling me, giving me gems and pieces to follow to get to her. And as I approach her and get closer, she becomes elusive, because she has to go further into the future to then make a way for us. But at some point, I do reach her and become her.
Yeah.
And that's when I've kind of reached my end,
Ooh, that just gave me chills. It just gave me chills. That's beautiful. Because we
Yeah.
always talk about, what would your younger self, and go back to your younger self. But I like that you're pointing out this guidance of where you're being pulled to.
Yes.
As well. I love that. Well, you mentioned you have a stage play now out. What is that, and what is it about? And what other projects do you have? Because I know in December you have some stuff, but we'll get there. But let's talk about, you mentioned the stage play that you have.
Yes. So back in 2016, I wrote a stage play called Mental, about my stint in a mental hospital. When I was released from the hospital for depression, anxiety, and suicidal ideations, I decided two things: that I was going to accept the invitation to go to grad school at Southern New Hampshire University, and that I was going to write the stage play Mental. And I did both. So Mental premiered at the Southwest Art Center back in 2016. We did two shows. We sold them out both times. I think it was about 100 seats at the time. This is pre-COVID.
Right.
And then as the years drew on, people would always ask me, whatever happened to Mental? You know, it was so good and you should bring it back. And especially a good friend of mine named Shalonda Zachary, she was always on me about Mental. And so I finally just kind of came around and decided that I was in a good space mentally to revisit the work and the piece. And so decided to bring it back and was going to have it at Southwest Art Center again. But before I could book the venue, I was approached by a man named Anthony Page with Blue Bistro Creative. And he was working with Apex Museum looking for content creators of one woman and one man stage shows. And he found me and we partnered and we premiered this past weekend, Saturday and Sunday at Apex. And we have two more shows coming up next weekend, Saturday, Sunday at 6 p.m. And it's just about my walk and my journey with mental illness, depression, and anxiety, how it's affected me, what led me to a mental hospital, you know, what got me out, what got me through, and how I'm here today to share the experience.
Yes. And I must say, I got a chance to see it. It was, who will find the words? It was a lot. It was empowering, educational, overwhelming, awakening. It was a lot of different emotions that I was going through just watching it. And it's amazing how, even while watching it, I was assessing just how I walk and operate in life. I was literally taking a test in my mind with the information I was given and was testing it to just how I see things, conversations I have, loved ones, community, even the conversations we have now, speaking of social media, right? There's people feel comfortable, I don't know, checking people, putting people in the box, saying what someone should feel, shouldn't feel. We're not as sensitive or attentive or have empathy. Of course, looking at Kanye, because talk about him, he's one of the ones that's just here now, where all of us feel that we can be and say whatever and however we want to be and say. But just watching a lot of celebrated individuals, they get that tag of being celebrated and become dehumanized. And I've watched a lot of people go through that. Like, what's her name? Her son that just Regina King's son departed. A lot of people be like, oh, we're always just in shock. We're in shock a lot of times because we are so detached. We are so uneducated and a lot of things. And I realized that myself, and someone who myself is very driven. And a lot of things that I do, you just automatically put who you are on other people, right? So sometimes you'll think, I'm driven. If I know I'm going to do this, I'm just going to do it. Then you should be driven, and you just got to know to do this and just do that. Your play, the message, your story woke up a different part of me to be able to connect differently and in conversations excellent. And to watch. That's why I love what you did with your play. When, because you got two more, like you said, but when can they see it outside of October? Like, where do you see this going?
Well, you know, more than likely it will be streaming on Apex's streaming platform that's coming out.
All right.
They're looking for content to stream on their platform. And so we did a live taping this past weekend.
Yes.
And so likely it'll be there. But I'm working also with Judge Harry Bowden. He's a retired judge here in Atlanta, to possibly get it into schools and things of that nature, high schools, more than likely, because of the nature of the subject matter. But yeah, we're trying to get it out there more. even more than we have.
And it's necessary. And it's also necessary because we're here recently talking about, we put, labels on things or definers. We walk this earth not doing that, right? Sometimes we just push things under the rug, or we dismiss things of being character. But also, when I think about it, just like we talk about us being athletes, there's the physical aspect to us, there's the mental aspect to us, there's the spiritual. All of us deal with strength and weaknesses in every last one of those areas.
Right.
Some more than others with different things, but we need to pay attention to that too, because we may just dismiss ourselves when we feel certain, lack, or not as strong mentally. We don't really pay attention to it for ourselves because we think it's not that, or no, we all experience different things. So I think the educational piece, I love that. I would love for it to be in schools. I can't wait for it to stream. I would definitely be pushing that. What are the other 2 projects, or 3? Because you're gonna in December you're showing 3.
Yes.
What is that about?
So I came to just kind of reach a stalemate in my career not too long ago. At the time, I was working at Tyler Perry Studios, and I don't know, I didn't have the money I needed for the projects that I wanted to do. I couldn't figure out what to do or where to turn or who to ask, or just didn't know. And I just decided that I was going to film 3 short films, and then that I was going to make a documentary about those 3 about creating those films, and to document what it is to be an African-American female independent filmmaker in Atlanta. And then I said I was going to have a private screening and invite people in the room who could potentially invest in me when they see what I'm capable of doing. And so that was my pivot, and so December 7th, I'll be showing 3 films. One is called Have Mercy. It's about 2 African-American females. One of their sons murdered the other one's son, and she's coming to her to ask her to have mercy before the judge. A Kind of Peace is about an award-winning writer who receives the best news of her life on the worst day of her life. And the third one is called What Would Happen Was. It's about a conspiracy theorist who thinks that it's a conspiracy that he can't find love. And that's a comedy. The other 2 are dramas. And then the documentary will have a lot of feedback from friends and family about me. It's less about me being in front of the camera, because that's not my favorite place. I like to be behind the scenes, but it's more so about the journey and how other people have witnessed it for me.
Wow.
My children get the opportunity to speak in the documentary, and my mother and my friends and my sister, people that people don't always see that are a part of my support system, talk about Sid Powell and Sid Powell Productions and who Sid is and what I've done and where they think I'm going,
So the documentary is going to play. So for clarity, you're going to show the 3 short films you did. A documentary is going to play alongside that, or?
No, it'll be a separate showing at the same night. So the films are like maybe 15 minutes each. And then after we show the films, then we'll show the doc.
Well, I'm signing up. I'm going to be there. I'm also going to support. I'm also going to pour in. That's another thing we need to be more attentive about too. Sometimes we don't pay attention to that. Like, pay attention to how can we support each other, right? Sometimes we just see things. Oh, that's nice. I like it. I like what you're doing. I appreciate it. That's support. I appreciate that. But what are the ways that you can support too, so that other people can see what I'm doing, so I can reach the masses? It takes all of us to use all of our platforms and resources, financial and whatever else it may be, to make sure the reach goes deeper. If we feel that it has impacted us in a certain way, whatever it is that we say we love about people, if you love something that impacted you a certain way, the biggest thing we can do is give that impact back to the world, however big or small it may be. So that's one thing I want you all viewers and listeners, listening to Miss Sid Powell. First of all, go check out her work. Go check it out. I'm putting my name on. That is absolutely amazing. The stage play, again, sparked and changed my life yesterday. I look forward to the project she has coming up. I'm going to support in December in so many different ways. December being there and also beyond that. But that's what we all need to do for each other. The only way that we're going to become better, this is bigger than entertainment. Like I mentioned earlier, it's bigger than entertainment. The only way we're going to become better as human beings existing is supporting those individuals that use our gifts and talents to up-level us. And Sid, you're definitely one of those ones. Where can individuals reach you, support you, find your work?
Absolutely. Please check me out at sidpo.com. You can get tickets for Mental as well as my screening for the 3 movies in the documentary. Visit eventbrite.com and search for Sid Powell Mental. You'll see both of my events pop up below that. Sid Powell Mental at eventbrite.com. Tickets for Mental are $30 each, and they're $20 for the screening. You can also find me at Sid Powell 17 on IG and Sid Powell on Facebook.
That's beautiful. You're seeing the face of someone. Listen, let's pour in. You know, everybody all of a sudden be like, that's my cousin. Everybody want to jump in then. This is the time. No, it is a very important for us to continue to put people in positions that are tapped in on so many different levels. So that is another reason why to completely support. So I am all in.
Thank you for having me here though, Ella. This is amazing what you're doing, and I see you and I appreciate you and your journey, and just watching. You know, you may not hear from me and I may not hear from you, but just know that you inspire me because I see you pivoting, girl. I see you pivoting and adjusting. And we know that from track that you've got to know how to pivot and adjust in the middle of the race when it's hot, when time is of the essence. And I see you doing that in your career and in your journey. And I'm honored to be your friend and to be your, colleague in this industry and in this journey.
Thank you so much. What do you want to leave the listeners and viewers with? If there's anything that you can deposit in them, what is it that wants to spew out of you?
I would like to say, let's slow down a little bit, slow down as a people, as human beings. Let's take inventory of ourselves and let's take inventory of how we can be of service to others. Let's do that.
Let's do it. It's necessary. So thank you for listening to another segment of Conversate and Elevate on Seek Elevation. The more you know, the more you grow, but the more you share, the more we all glow. Until next time, let's keep elevating.